Hello, 1 2. We'll be back into this new video tutorial with OSP Pro. Now in this video today we are going to learn the complete MySQL, all what you need to know in MySQL database programming. It's going to be kind of 1 hour or 15 minutes video, so I hope you're going to enjoy it. Now the first thing I'm going to talk about mainly in this video is that no matter which level of programming you might have ever been to, or you might be good in other kind of front-end programming, maybe front-end, maybe you're very good with HTML, CSS, or React.NET, the Node.js and other stuffs around. Now we are going to find a way of actually coming up with a complete back-end programming where we're going to be in position to come up with a complete data handling feature for our given application. Now I may just go straight forward to the point to see how we can get ourselves started. Now I just have some few stuffs here to let you guys know. The first thing around that we are going to talk about is just like introduction to MySQL. What's MySQL as MySQL? Now MySQL is just like it's a programming language, and always we use it in the condition of or the time of handling data. That's the main work of MySQL. The work of MySQL is to handle data, and this data which is going to be handled is going to be independent. So in database there's other few things that you have to know. There's data independence, the data structure. Like MySQL has all those abilities to help us handle up the data. Then from there we shall also get to know some few stuffs around here as we start about MySQL. What's MySQL as MySQL? MySQL is a structured query language which we are going to go into deep to see how to start up programming with. Then on MySQL still we need to know about what is it all about, how do you get it into our machines, which will need something called a server. Now what's a server? A server is like the one which is going to extend for us the connections to our given kind of a computer or an application. Remember, when we have server is the one which extends for us the connection of the database. Which database this time around? We have two types of server that we may tend to use around. We have the XAMPP server and the WAMP server. Now for this video we're going to use XAMPP server. Now what are they mainly going to be used to? What are the real main of the XAMPP or WAMP server? The XAMPP server has the petition, has the ability of us using up one on us the MySQL. We have A, which is for Apache, this is MySQL or MySQL, and then the rest for Perl and other programming language. So we have this element of MySQL, which that implies in simple term we can join in MySQL into a given application. Then we also have something called getting started with MySQL or get started with the XAMPP. So to get started with the XAMPP, we have to install one on us the XAMPP into our computer. To install a XAMPP into our computer, just go to xampp.com. Install xampp.org. So go to XAMPP. Just going to go back. We just need to go to xampp.org. Go to xampp.org if you want to get it into your computer. So if you go to xampp.org, it will give you ability to be in position to download XAMPP, and after then just continue press next until it will finalize. Then on the other way around, to get started, after having all those stuffs installed in your computer, we need now to find ourselves a way of maybe now getting ourselves being introduced into the point. So let me say I'm going to start myself from here, from MySQL. Let's get started. So I'm just going to come back here and then we see how we can get started. I already have my XAMPP installed. If you don't have XAMPP installed in your computer, I'm going to give you the description. On the description below, I'm going to give you the download page where you can download and get XAMPP on our video. So if at all you're watching this from our YouTube channel, and if maybe you're watching from our Facebook page, make sure you go on and then you download the XAMPP, which I'm going to still leave on our description. And if you've told maybe you haven't not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. This time to subscribe. Now by default, when you already have XAMPP, this is how it looks like. There is Apache, this is MySQL, this is the file. Instead of uploading the file, this is much way to program if at all you want to make the mail application which is going to go offline, and then the Tomcat is for handling one on us the Java applications. Now we are not interested in all these many three tabs. We are interested in the main two app. One is MySQL, where I'm going to stick on. By default, the action is always start. It implies in simple terms it's not running, but if it's running, it will show stop. So if I click there, it's going to provide for us the port number and the port ID. which always the port number by default to some extent is always 3306 by default. then you can always go on and change. But for this video, I'm not going to do any configuration. I'm not going to do any configuration of XAMPP in this video, but wait for the next video. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now I hope so you guys already have this down. If you for sure find the installation hard for you, make sure you come in and then you get to get started. So let me just go back here to shell. So now I click on the shell. Now what's the main importance of the shell? We are going to be using XAMPP CMD to make up a XAMPP application. So I'm just going to click on the shell, which shell is going to give us ability to start up the program or to start up the programming of the XAMPP. So I'm just going to maximize this part a bit so that we can be in position to do what we need to do. Now, based on what you have just said right now here, what do we need to do now at the moment? We need now to talk to something called CRUD. What's CRUD? CRUD is create, read, update, and delete. So let's just start up with this. That simple application to see how we can get started with our XAMPP shell. Remember, I've said that to make sure that your application is running, make sure that mysql is set to stop. Implies if it is showing here stop, implies it is running. Otherwise, if it says start, means not running. I give assumption if you close it there and then you come this side here and type any command, like maybe if you give assumption, maybe something like show databases or show data, maybe show databases or whatever thing you may happen to type there. Like in this case of ours, we have show databases. So if I happen to come and press there, we shall always get that recognized an internal blah blah memory, because we don't have the right privilege to the stuff. So let me just go make sure, guys, we don't waste time. Let's just start here. Make sure always by default is running. It will show for you stop. That implies that you are already inside the server. Now the first command you will always need to know or need to use so that you can start the server is to type the server command, which is mysql. And when you type mysql, this will not give you the privilege to do everything. I give assumption if I happen to come back here on this command of ours and I happen to say show databases, it will give us limited databases this time around, which I'll have only two. One is database that list mini test, and another one is information scammer. That implies in a simple term we don't have all the privilege. I give assumption if I say create database, if I happen to say create, sorry, I just made some mistake there, so I'm going to go back and then I type mysql and then I say create create what? Create databases or create database. Then I give a database name, maybe it's called T. I give assumption I will not be in a position to create the database because I don't have all the privileges. So to clear whatever is there, I'm going to hold the control with the C to go back, and then I type CLS, means clear. If you're told you're from Linux, please you type clear, complete word clear. You get? You type a complete word as clear. Type a complete word as clear. If I told you are going to be using up that, but for us here on Windows, we make sure we type just CLS, which clear the screen. Now let's get started again on the other way around. Now like I've told you that if you use that command, does not give them privilege to do all what needed. Now what should be the right command to use? Now to use the right command to use in this case is mysql -h, means for localhost, because you're going to be basing on this application locally, localhost, and then -u for username, which is root in this case of ours, and then -p, which is for password. So all of those stuffs is going to be ignored by default because we are telling the application that actually we are going to utilize this application completely. We're going to have the password, which is going to be none, and then the username, which is going to be root. So there's no default, there's nothing like we have changed. We're just calling the application by its default kind of settings. So let me just try to hit enter. Now when I hit enter, it's going to ask me the password. Please members, don't put any password there. Don't give any password in that application. Otherwise just ignore that part and just click enter. Now if I told you are inside the application and then maybe you want now to create up a database or you want to do any other kind of stuff there, you'll be given all the privileges because all the stuff is now going to be just waiting for you. Why? Because you use the right command. You say mysql -h localhost -u for root and then password, which is -p. So if I happen to come back again and say create database, and I give assumption our database name for this video or this case around is maybe the database name we are going to create around. I'm just going to create a database called DB. When I hit enter, I should show me that query. Okay, why? It's because the database you are trying to create is not actually existing at by default. It was not yet there. It is not there, by the way. And this time around, we happen to call mysql with its complete root name. That implies in a simple term, this term here around is giving us the privilege to do what you need to do. So let me just give assumption we already have the database. If you type again and you say create database DB, it's going to tell us access not allowed. Why? Because the database already exists. You get? Now maybe before proceeding, let me try to say I want to delete away that database from that computer. that database you have just created called maybe DB. You don't need to type one on us delete database, maybe blah blah. You need to type one on us drop. If I told you to delete up a database from a given computer, drop the database. And always in the case where of the data of dropping, we only use dropping in two ways. We either use the drop in dropping up a database, or we drop a table. So we don't drop the you don't use the word drop when even you are deleting up maybe information inside a row inside a database. We don't use drop. Actually, I shall also show you that. So don't confuse the two. Drop and delete, they are complete two stuffs, different stuffs. And always use the drop whenever you're dropping up a database, and also maybe when you're dropping up a table. So when I hit enter now, this time around, we shall find the query okay. That implies in a simple time, if I happen to say show databases, we shall not find that database called DB listed. But if I happen to come back again and say maybe create database DB for this time around, and I happen to come and say show databases this time around, we should find DB also listed on the list of the databases present. That implies in a simple term, at the moment we have DB inside the list of the databases that are within our application. Now members, I'm not going to take a lot of time. I've already shown how to make up a given kind of a simple application. That implies in a simple term, you already now know how to create up a database, to delete a database. Now creating up a database and using a database is the different two terms. One, when you create a database, it actually you happen to go in the list of the databases present inside your database configuration, or inside your databases, or inside your mysql, or inside your inside the, can I call it PHP admin or whatever, inside the list of the database that you have in your machine. Now we need to find a way of using up a given database. Don't forget, I'm using my database called MariaDB. So in this simple term, to use up a given, to start use it, or to use up a given database, you need to use a command that enables us use a given database to select a database. So to select database, I'm going to simply say one on us use, and I just give a database name, which is DB in our case. That implies when I say use DB, that implies I'm selecting database called DB among all the list of the databases present. When I happen to hit enter, I'm going to be changing. That implies from MariaDB none now to MariaDB DB. That implies right now I'm inside the database called MariaDB. Now to confirm that for sure I'm inside MariaDB, I think you can see now the thing changed, this database changed from MariaDB none to MariaDB DB. Now let me say and give assumption we don't have tables, we don't have any whatever inside the database. I give assumption if I say select everything from the database or show tables. When I happen to say show tables in this time around, we shall not have any, we don't have anything there added in our database. Why? Because we don't have any table said, or we didn't create any table. Now in this time around, let's just try to see how we can actually do one thing called adding up a given table into our database. So I'm going to just create up a table there called users to make us understand how the concept really works out. So I'm going to just create table, and I give a table name maybe users, table users. Now always when you create a table users, please don't come and put a semicolon and hit enter. It will not work out for you because it will not be limited. A table at least must have one column. That implies in a simple term we need to open. So if I open up here and I hit enter, or if I open up there, I can now start coming in here and I give my details how the table is going to be. So what are you specifying this time around? If you guys, I may take you back if I told you I've ever used one on as access. Whenever you open and access, there's something called the view, and inside the view there's something called datasheet view and design view. That implies in this time around what we are trying to give at the moment is one as the design view. We are trying to design how the database is going to be looking like actually. So in a simple term, as we are trying to give up this design view, we also talk of something called data scammer. What's the data scammer in this case around? The data scammer is the scanner to know the given database. So actually when the data scammer is where we talk about the columns, how many columns the database is going to be having based on the scammer, based on the structure which we are going to give in the application. If you give your scammer a good kind of impression, or give good kind of maybe, if you give a scammer in the database, then expect the database to be having tables. So let me just give assumption in this case around of ours. I'm going to move that on off. I can actually hit enter, then I open up my column, and even I can also hit enter to be ready, waiting for me to insert the values. So the first one, I'm just going to give ID, and I always going to say that's going to be an integer. Why? Always an ID of a given value or if given database always is by default always an integer. Make sure that you give it an integer. Why? Because we expect that the point P or point T to be incrementing, it be adding on by what will be there. So in a simple term, if I say 1, that implies can save from 1 person up to 9 people. If I happen to say 2, if I happen to say 2 there, it implies in a simple term it can save from 2 people. I mean it can save from 1 person up to 99 people. If I happen to come and say 3 here, it implies can stay from 1 up to 999. How about if I say 11? It implies in a simple term it can save 900, meaning 99,999,999,999. So don't forget about that kind of concept. Now I'm just going to take you back again. I try to click back enter because I made some mistakes there. I'm just going to go back and try to use the very first command we used around when it was asking us now to create up a given database. So let's just give assumption this is it, mysql dash u h localhost dash u for root and dash p for password. So when I hit enter now, I think it's going to ask me password. I'm just going to do that. Access denied for use root blah blah. Let me see that. Where's the mistake? Localhost dash that. Let me go back again. Localhost. Wow. Let me just try to say that's mysql dash h localhost dash u root and that's it. Hit enter. Hit enter. I think the other time around I gave some password here, that's why it never gave us a chance. So I'm just going to go straight and I say use one known as db because we already have a database there, and for sure with the db you can ignore giving a semicolon. So I hit enter now. We already inside the db, we already have no table yet, so I'm going to just say create table, which in this case I'm going to call my table users. I can open from there, you can hit enter and open up there. We have an id. I've already explained to an id is going to be an integer. I open up there, I'm going to give 11 because at least I need my space to be big kind of, and I'm also going to use not null. Not null in this case means it is a must, there should be a field, a value, and I'm also going to use something called auto increment, which implies in a simple term if the first value is 1, the next value will be 2. When I try to come back here, I'm just try to give it some spacing here like that. So when I hit enter then that implies that value is taken. We're just going to try to add some user, and I'm just going to say I'm going to need user's name, and always user's name, the character for that type is either a varchar or a char. So since the character is going to be consisting of more than 2, I mean someone's name is going to consist of more than 2 letters, it implies in a simple term it's going to be a varchar. Always now a varchar is different from an integer. When you happen to say 1, implies you can only store one person of one character of like a letter 1, mean like one letter like A. If you happen to come and say 2, it implies can only store 2 letters. If you happen to come and say maybe 40, it implies can only store 40 letters. Now in a simple time, if you happen to say 13 or 14, someone like Schwarzenegger whose letters actually, if I told maybe 12, someone like Schwarzenegger whose letters or his name is just like 14 letters, it will actually not be saved. The remaining 2 letters of his name will not be appear in that given kind of database. So maybe the point will be how many characters does a database tend to save, especially when talk of this stuff concerning maybe the characters. It starts from 1 and the maximum is 255. So it's upon you to select how big you want your data to be saved. If I say maybe I'm going to take 200, that's what I may take. That implies I still have other extra 55. Then I'll also say not null because I don't want the person to skip, because I expect everyone to has a name. Then on the other way around, there's also something called the primary key. Now this is what a database have. A primary key is always like a unique way how to differentiate information in a given database. Now always a primary key in most cases is an ID. If I say primary key, I'm just going to say ID and I have my name called ID. So I'll hit enter and then I try to close it and then I give a semicolon. If there's no error and I happen to hit enter, I should have that query okay. So if now I say show tables, we should have one table called users. And when you go underneath users and you simply say maybe show, describe for you the table, just say disk for me the table, or disk for me table called users, or just say disk users. It implies it's going to give you the architecture design of that given database, or what someone may call the schema of that given database. Now in a simple term, it will even explain to you all how the person designed the database. If I thought the database was designed some years back and you want to know how really the thing moved, so that's how they do it. Now let me not waste a lot of time. Let's just try to see how we can insert some data so that you can finish the CRUD very fast. To insert data, I'm just going to say insert into users, because that's insert into users. That's what we have. And I'm just going to open up here. The first one is like the name. So ID is going to be auto increment because I've said add 1, but for this time around I can just test with it and I show you what I'm trying to say. Then we also have something called values, where in values that implies in ID is going to be 1, and then the next thing is someone's name. Only someone's name, open up there in double quotes to give someone's name. Like maybe if it is OSP Pro, you give it there, and then you close, and then you give a semicolon. So when I hit enter now and everything is okay, we should find the value inserted. If I say select everything, this asterisk means everything from the table which is users, which that is have one value added into our database. Just like you can see now, we have a value added into our database. So maybe on the other way around again, it's basing on what we have. What maybe I have to let you know at the moment is that we at least know how to add a value. Let me just go and duplicate this very one here. So I'm not going to now to build the basing on ID. If you don't want ID to be there, just put null. Put comma and give null. If I don't want this, I'm just going to change the name to OSP. So having there the word null, where do we always use null? Why do I use null here? Null means I don't care. In a simple term, there's nothing. So since I use basing on my architecture, I happen to say it's going to be auto increment. That implies in a simple term, since the first value is 1, it's just going to be adding only 1 to what already exists. So I expect now, if I happen to say select everything from my table, which is users, we expect to be 2. Why? Because we said null, mean auto increment, which implies add 1. So always use this method whenever we're going to host application. If the application is going to run online, then make that part be not null, to be null, so that you can pick up whatever comes from the database. Now on the other way around also, maybe what I have to let you know this case around, to add more dull values, I'm just going to use this, and this time around I'm not going to take care of this stuff. I'm going to just remove it off, and even this one. Why am I removing them off? Is because it is now going to be useless. I expect it to be auto increment, so it will be adding on what will exist. If I toss another person name is called Becky and I happen just hit enter, it will still be okay. That implies in a simple time, if again I come back here and I say select everything from our table, which is this, we expect the output to be the same thing. Now maybe also on the other way around also, you may also ask me again, now which another method do we insert values? I can also just say insert into users, and I even more the one on as name, and I just go straight to the values. Maybe this person's name is going to be Moses. If I also hit enter, column cannot count doesn't match value, count and throw that. Then you just check back again this. Oh sorry, we said with 2 users. That implies in a simple term. Oh, let me just take back this. A name, users, open up. We have the name of that given user, and then you have the Moses. I was trying to say if at all that would work for us in a PHP where we could give the variable this side around, and then you'd ignore to copy it up. Then on the other way around, that's how we could always insert the value. So if I happen to come back in here and say maybe select everything from our table, which is users, which would at least now have the number of people inserted. If I want to select only the people in the database, maybe based on the rows and column, let's check that. Maybe if I happen to say select ID from users. Now don't forget, whenever you say select ID from users, we don't, if you're specifying what you want to pick from the database, please, we don't use the word asterisk. You don't use that multiplication sign. Why? Because we are only specifying what we need, and the application sign means I want to pick everyone from the database. You get? So in a simple term, that's how the stuff moves out. So let's see how to get started to pick the row, another column. So maybe I'm going to just say select one as select name from users. That's how you do it. It can also select for your name. If you want to combine the name and the users, all of them in one row, you do what known as concat. So I'm going to simply say select concat for me, one known as ID, comma. I'm just going to give some space there, comma, name. Then I'm going to give them one name as maybe as user details. I happen to come in here and hit semicolon. ID column ID, check that. Unknown column ID in field list. Select concat that. Oh, sorry. Select that as this one from users. So that's what I'm trying to say. So that implies you have concatenated all the stuffs. You are giving them in one field. You are giving all of them in one row. That implies somebody. That's how we can actually generate the complete data for a given user. We don't want, if maybe you don't want them to be separate, you can always join them. Now, in a simple term, I will simply say that we have already learned one on us how to insert. How to pick by row? To pick by row, you simply say select everything from maybe users. You can only select by ID, where maybe ID is equal to something like maybe 1. When you hit enter, in place in simple term, only that person with ID number 1 is going to be picked. If you happen to come and say number 4, it implies the only Moses is one going to be picked. No matter which value you would like to pick, like I've said, it always matter by you, or it is you to determine what you want to pick from the database. So that's in simple term, that's how we select by row. Let's go back into application and simply see the following stuff. So we already have that in our database. That implies inside the crowd we have already seen how to read. So let's see how to update. We are going to learn how to update. When you're updating, we update from the database. So I'm going to simply say update the table. Which table name? Update users. Set maybe name equals to the new name you want to give is what way it goes there. New name equals to maybe code equals where maybe ID equals to 1. It implies in simple term we are trying to say otherwise change the name where the name is this person of ID number 1. That implies in simple term if I happen to come back and say select everything from our table which is users, we shall now find from code equals from always people to code equals. So that's how we always update. The same procedure happens to another way. If I also say maybe update, whenever you're using update, please don't use the word from. We only use the word from in deleting. Update users, set what you want. Maybe set name is equal to maybe David, where ID is equal to maybe 2, or where ID equals to 3. You get? That's how they do it. When I hit enter, it will be saying quite okay. So if I select everything from our database, we shall be having the following things. That's how the stuff is going to be like. Now members, that's what so far I have for you in updating. Let's see how to delete the information from the database, so that we say the CRUD is there. So I'm going to simply say maybe delete from, or delete whenever you're using the word known as delete, we say delete from users where maybe ID equals to 1. So when you hit enter, that query is going to enable us to delete the user off. So if I happen to come back in here and I say select, maybe select everything from users, that person of ID number 1 is no longer going to exist because it's going to be deleted away from the application. Then on the other way around also, if you happen to come back to delete Moses, you simply say delete from users where name, that implies this time around I'm not going to be using up the ID, I'm going to use the name, where name equals to Moses. That implies the application is going to look onto where is that person really is in the application. So if I happen to say that select now everything from our table which is users, we shall find that we no longer have Moses. Now though the second method which I happen to use here is very very dangerous, please don't use it. Always use ID. If you use users, it will maybe someone's name. I give assumption you have more than 5 people in the database and that's their name, Moses. That implies all the information concerning those people will be deleted away from the application or from the system. So you make sure at least you utilize one on as ID or deleting by the unique way or the primary key if possible. Now members, for this other 30 minutes that we are going to be happen to proceed in our video, let's now see how to join more than 2 tables. We have so far learned how to just make one table. Let's create another table and we'll see. So I'm also going to create up another table and I'm going to call it maybe say max. Create table max. That implies we are going to be corresponding max with what we have. Create table max, and that implies I'm just going to track one on us. It will be good to track if you're going to join more than 2 tables. We are going to join based on the IDs what so far we have. That implies in a simple term I'm going to say mark underscore ID or the max ID. We're also going to add a column called ID, which in a simple term would be student's ID. and also on the other way, max itself. Let me change that table name to user max so that we have the other side max to avoid confusion. That's how the table name is going to be basing on. So in a simple term, you're going to base on something like that. That implies in a simple term, I'm going to come back here. I just open up and I say maybe this is going to be on integer, and I'm going to say 11, and I'm also going to say not null, and I'm also going to make it auto increment. After doing that, we also have the ID, whereby in that ID we are going to talk about is going to be the student ID, which in this time around we can also make it integer, and it's also going to be not null. Don't also make it primary key auto increment, just leave it like that. Then this is student max. Student max, you can make it as an integer because it's going to be stored in max. So I'm also going to call it int 11, and I'm also going to say not null, and then I close my application, I hit enter. There can be only one auto increment. Let me check back this application, create users, that mark ID, this. If that method confuses you, come back here and just say create. We can just break it in this way, create users underscore ID, or we can just give it down and say mark underscore ID, which is going to be not which is going to be an integer, and is 11 and is not null, and is also auto underscore increment. Then we shall also have the ID for the student itself, which is also going to be that 11 and is also going to be not null. Then we have the marks of that given student, which is also going to be an integer 11 and maybe also not null. We have to set the primary key this time around, whereby our primary key this time around is ID, but in the real sense is actually max ID. The mark ID of a given student is going to be our primary key. And I'm just going to come back here and I close the application. So when I hit enter, I think you can see they're okay. If I set this for me, user max, if I hit enter, this is how the architecture design of this application is made. Now remember, if I also go back and say select everything from users, select everything from users, that's what we get. But if you say select everything from user ID, user max, which I'll get an empty set because there's nothing I've inserted. Let's just also learn again this time around how to insert into student max or student user, insert into user max. And we see how we can join two different tables or more than two in a unique simple way, and we see how the application works. So we're going to start into users. We're not going to take care of, we are not going to handle one on us user max, meaning user ID. Why? Because we made it auto increment, so the system is going to take care of that for us. So we don't want to waste our time there. What we just need to add is the ID, and then one on us the max, and then the values around what we're going to be adding here. The value is going to be maybe the user ID is 1, and then the max around is maybe 70. When I come back here and then semicolon, hit enter, which I'll find it okay. That implies in a simple term, when I happen to come and say select everything from user underscore max, which I'll have so far that for that ID of that username. Now without wasting time, let us just change this one here. We just need to change this side, maybe 2 to 40. So I'm also going to, so I said 12, not 2, sorry. So let me move that to 40, and then we also come back here, maybe 3 to 90. Don't worry about the subject, that implies I've not given the subjects around. It's also okay just to understand how the thing works. That's 6. And then let's go back and do it for 4. So if I happen to come and say select everything from our users, user max, that implies what? That's what we have. Let's just try to update the ID of that guy, of the user ID. So I've told you to update, just update from update what? User underscore max, set what? Set ID equals to 2. Maybe set ID equals to, let me just delete it off if possible, or you can say set ID equals to 2, where mark, where user, where mark underscore ID equals to 2. So if that's what you do, you'll find that this time around that's what we shall have into our application. So it will update that. That implies a student with the ID number 2 has more than 2 marks. No? Now for that, that's like just simple terms. So let's join the two tables. We have two tables. Select everything from users. That's like one table. And we also have the second table, which select everything from user underscore max, which is our second table. So we want to join the two tables. Primarily, the first natural way of joining would be, I'm not going to use in join, left join, blah blah, all those wastage of time. Especially if you have been in the world of development for some time, you discover that all those ways are good, but it's going to consume for a lot of time, and there's a lot of restrictions. Yet there's other more technical ways and the simple ways how you can actually join tables without you needing to use left join, right join. No, it's good to do it, but this what I'm going to give you is the simplest way of joining tables. Select maybe if I simply say select everything, you can simply say select everything from users, comma, then user underscore max. If you just say like that, select everything from that, it's going to generate the entire tables, the entire stuffs inside our database. Now we need to go on and give some restrictions a bit. That implies this is like for the complete beginners. Don't first go for a join, left, right, blah blah. It's going to consume a lot of your time. So I'm just going to say select everything from users ID. So give something to present users. Users can be presented by you, and then in max can be presented by m. That implies still when I hit enter, I will generate the same thing. But we're trying to build another simple algorithm that can work for us. That implies in simple term, I want to select everyone from the database, everyone from users and from whatever where what? Where ID is equal to ID. So what am I trying to mean here? If you want to pick what is in the other table and you also pick to this table, we need to find a unique way of joining them. So I have this where users is a U, and I put U there and I put dot. That implies I'm trying to join the two tables. Where user on the U is equal to user dot user, that implies representing for users, and then for the user max is equal to m dot user ID. So if you try to hit enter, we're only going to pick those people that for sure their ID tend to correspond with what we have. Now if you check again back on a user ID, like I told you guys, we made some mistake around in that the user ID the other side around is going to be duplicated. The user ID with the ID number 2. Why? Because on the side for max we happened to made it to be twice, or we did it twice. That's why in a simple term we have 2. So we can actually do the following steps. We can simply say select everything from users on m blah blah that. Then we say group it, group by, maybe by group by. Even you say m mean user ID, group by user ID. If you say group by user ID, implies in a simple term it's going to be selected by the user ID. the user marks. So this is what I've done. Select everything from users, that blah blah blah, where user equals that one, grouped by. So that you group by, you can even come and also add some few stuffs here. Hope it may work. And grouped by, it will not work for you, so don't use and grouped by. I'll show you in another conditions where you can use and there. So here it will only pick for us information of the ID on the other side and this side without duplicating of data. So that's how you can actually join two tables in a simple way, and you pick what is needed. Now to pick the right stuff, to avoid the confusion in the database, then you need to go a little bit extra mile, just like this. Select. We know that if you happen to say select everything from users, this is what we get. And also when you say select everything from user underscore marks, this is what we get. That's what we get. Now we need to go back a little mile to understand how the concept moves. So I'm going to do the following. I'm just going to go back onto our table and we try to see how we really can join this information without duplicating the ID and ID this side. And we don't need to also have the user mark underscore ID if we don't need it. We're only interested in the marks, not the marks ID. Is okay? So let's just do this. Select. Instead of saying everything, just say select users, put a comma, and I've said users can use the word maybe you. Select users, put a comma, user underscore marks, which is M. And I told this time around when you hit enter, it will not say give you what you need. So select everything from user.m, select users that select. So let me just go back here and simply say select u dot, where u is going to present the maybe ID, comma u dot name. So I'm trying to say for username, a comma. Now we go for marks. Remember initially this is from users and from that. So when I say select that, and happen to hit enter, it only generate first that. So come back in here. We need to select for us use underscore that um. That implies users is done. So I'm going to come back in here on our users, and I just come in here and I put a comma because we also want to go further and say m dot mark underscore ID, mark underscore ID. Then you go further and try to just say you also want up m dot ID for user, comma, and then you go extra mile to also say m dot marks from the other side. So when you hit enter, it's going to generate the same stuff. Now let me just go a little bit trial, and I say maybe where u dot users equals to 1 minus m dot user. It's u dot id equals to m dot id. So when you hit enter, we shall generate the two, but we have not brought the stuff. So that implies this is like another technique. If you don't want to use 1 as everything asterisk, you can go further and say here group by 1 as, we can group it by maybe m dot id and generate the same thing. Oh, you can go back, and if you say I don't want ID there, I don't want those stuffs, now it is going to be simple for you. We don't want max ID, so if you don't want the max ID, move that off. And if you don't also want what, that's it. So when I hit enter now, that implies we have ID. So that's kind of okay to work for us. And if I told you to print this application and maybe you're using PHP or using Python to become more nice, whereby even this ID will not duplicate itself. So in a simple term, that's what I may simply say to advanced MySQL. Joining a table, coming up with those stuff. Maybe for this, as I'm winding up, I'm just left with the 3 minutes to go. How do they write comments in MySQL? In the PHP, we always use 2/o in C or C# or C++ or Java. Always give 2/ to mean a comment. But otherwise, it is opposite when you come in MySQL. It's an opposite. Otherwise, 2/ does not work. Instead, we use the old version of PHP version, which is hash, or we use the Python syntax, which is hash. And when you try to type anything in front of that, it's going to be a comment. In C++, C, C#, PHP, we always write a multiple line comment by giving 2 asterisks or 2 multiple signs, and then in between you give their multiplication signs. And you could always type whatever work there to be a comment for us. And you could always end the program with asterisk and then /. It also works for us in this time around with the MySQL. So there are only 2 types of comments that MySQL tend to allow. One is hash, which is for a single line comment. And we have the 2/ and add with a asterisk. This is called maybe multiple line comment. So what does it do? It affects many lines. That's what I'm saying this time around. So that's all about the comments in our MySQL. Now let me just use this 1 minute to show you this application if at all you happen to run it via phpMyAdmin. So if I go back here, I'm just going to launch my phpMyAdmin to show the exact work we have been doing.